Welcome to Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, back again with another episode. You know what it is, y'all. I got Phil still in here with me, right? This is the third part of what I hope to be a long series of interviews with him to really get to the heart of the matter of what really went wrong with his life and how he got it right? I want him to share this story with y'all, because I believe that everybody's going to be able to benefit from listening to it. But look here, we're going to jump back into it. I'm talking too much. We're going to get back to it and let Phil lay this thing down and continue to talk. Where we left off in the last episode, he was about to tell us how when he came home from jail that he was left by his wife and how that almost destroyed him. So go ahead, Phil. Keep going.
Yeah, and I remember saying that it had destroyed me. Well, it didn't almost destroy me.
Yeah.
It did destroy me.
Right, but you prayed and asked.
But even though I had prayed, and now, being locked up, we get a lot of solitude. Your mind's clear. You're not doing the drugs. You're not doing, so you get to self-reflect quite a bit being locked up, and kind of see your errors. So I had seen all my errors laid before me, and I had to go to the Father and pray this thing out. And I'm like, Lord, I don't want to be this way. This is not it. And clean my house. And he cleaned it. Because when I got home, she had packed up half the stuff and moved out. And I ain't know where she was. She wasn't answering her phone. And I was completely destroyed. Didn't know what to do. So finally she answered the phone, right? And she's like, I'm afraid. I'm like, what are you afraid of? She's like, you. I just don't know how you're gonna react. And I'm like, we were together 13 years. We hardly ever even had an argument because we did everything that could possibly be done. So there was nothing to really argue about. We agreed on everything, So I don't know where you even got this feeling from. And let's just meet. And she met with me and she was like, you look different. I'm like, you look different too. And, we talked about it and, it was like, I'm still tore up. My heart is still broken because I just lost my wife. Mm-hmm. I really am trying to love her. Not say I love her. I'm trying to love her and I'm trying to be that guy. And she not even giving me the chance to be this guy. So I'm just, this new guy. I'm better. And she like, I don't even want it. So I'll never forget just crying and crying and crying. I'm talking about like, I called her and I was like, I'm apologizing. And, I was like, I got to confess, I slept with all your friends behind your back. And I named all them friends off. And, she called them and they got into it or whatever. And then she called me back and I got to confess too. And I'm like, what do you got to confess? And she's like, well, the whole time that you were in jail, I slept with 10 different guys. And I'm like, that was just if the world was being crumbled, that was the day it was being crumbled because I really was tore up then. Now, you asking me why I don't know why I was tore up? I have no idea because she was a call girl. Mm-hmm. She was a stripper. Mm-hmm. I guess it was the deception, the fact that as long as it was orchestrated by me and I knew about it, it was cool. But because it was deceiving and it was behind my back, it just killed me. I couldn't even, how can you do this to me? And the boo-hoos, and it didn't make any sense as to why I felt that way, considering the whole marriage and the whole relationship, but it was part of the cleansing that I had asked for. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't something that I was ready to deal with. So in order to mask that, I had to drink, I had to smoke, now I got 8 different women that I'm sleeping with, a different one every night. I got this big house, I got this nice car, I'm way gone, I'm snorting cocaine, I'm popping pills, I'm trying to kill myself. Pretty much. I could say I'm trying to literally kill myself. I can't deal with this one here. And I had a couple homeboys and they used to be like, man, you in a good spot. I'm like, what are y'all talking about, man? I just lost my wife, and they're like, no, she wasn't good for you anyway. And then they would tell me stories about while I was locked up, they would see her at the club and she with this guy and dancing on. And I guess it was the little things, like when she was with me, she would never wear a dress. So when I would go out to the club, now I'm seeing her in a dress and heels. And, you know, like being this person that I had never seen, and I was more attracted to that than I was when I had it, because she always wore, you know, jeans, tight jeans, or, you know, slacks or something. And I always wanted her to see her in a dress. And now she's just free as ever and wearing the dress, and I couldn't control her. I had lost all control. I had lost. And that was a hard one to swallow. Make a long story short, I had to sell the house because I couldn't stay there and those memories. So I sold the house and I moved to Nashville. And my mom told me that.
So you've reconciled with your mom. You and your mom are back together, so to speak.
Well, in my family, we don't reconcile. We just kind of push it under the rug. And if it's long enough, if it goes,
don't talk about it.
Yeah, if it's, then we just don't deal with it, and we act like it never even happened. You know, so, you know, I'm calling because she can always call me and say, hey, I need $300-400. I'll send it, and as long as I would send her a yes, everything's cool. The moment I send her a no, all hell's breaking loose. Now we got a problem. So this was on one of those rides of all yeses. So I call her and I'm moving up there, and she's like, nah, you're not moving up here. You got, you know, you can come visit, but you're not staying here. You got to go back and finish what you need to finish. I'm not knowing what that means. So I sold my house, and, you know, the little money I had, I blew it partying, you know, just blowing money. And I ended up losing everything, to the point where I was this young lady, one of the ladies that I had met, she had taken a liking to me, and she knew I was different. She allowed me to come stay with her, and I had gotten so to the bottom to where I was picking up pennies and dimes and, you know, nickels from off the, you know, the bottom of her car just to buy a loose cigarette. So it got that bad for me. But again, I had asked to be cleansed, and I'm not knowing. Sometimes you pray and don't know what it is to, you know, that you're really asking for.
Right.
So as I'm going through this transition of being cleansed, you know, I actually began to discover who I was. And I remember that guy of who I wanted to be, the Cliff Huxtable, the guy who I had seen myself being.
Right.
I just didn't know how to get there now, because being like the white kids hadn't got me there.
Right.
You know, being like this thug hadn't gotten me there. But I still had that image of, this is what I want. And my friend in Minnesota called me and he says, I have a feeling something's not right. You need to come home. And he got me a plane ticket, and he gave me my ex-girlfriend's number, who I hadn't seen in 10 years.
Right.
And I called her, and she said, are you moving back? And I said, only if I could stay at your house. And she let me stay at her house, and, you know, I moved up to Minnesota, and I was able to restart, but I brought all of this baggage, all of these skeletons that I was dealing with, you know, from when I was living in Texas, you know, from when I moved from Minnesota, from when I had moved from Memphis to Minnesota. All of this stuff everything's with me, because it's still distorted. I try to explain it to people like this. A tree is gonna grow, but sometimes if something is broken in that tree, it can grow crooked, it can grow distorted, you know, and that's what I had grown to be. I had grown to be distorted. And you're gonna produce fruit, but the fruit that I was producing had no nutrition, no value. Right. It was poison to everyone that encountered me, because my whole interaction with you was to manipulate and control the situation to where I don't get hurt. And because I had already experienced so much hurt and being showing a little vulnerability. You know, I had experienced that much hurt. So yeah, I even ask, you know, right now I ask people, and they say, I'm grown. I'm like, okay, but what have you grown into?
Right.
What have you? You may be grown, but what have you grown into? Have you grown into a loving, gentle, kind person? Or have you grown into something that's distorted and producing poison and harming yourself and others around you? Are the people that feed off of you, are they getting sick? You know, are they losing things? Or are they getting nourishment, and are they growing and gaining?
Well, tell everybody how you became so self-aware to notice that you were producing fruit that were not beneficial to yourself or anybody around you.
I was, again, my mom took us to church. I mean, every week. I mean, we lived in there because, you know, that the drug addicts in church, they go hand in hand. You know, they are always at the altar every week. They repenting. So I stayed at the church. She told me when I got out, you're going to have to cry this thing out. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. She said, you're going to have to get you about 6 boxes of tissue, and you're going to have to cry this thing out. So I remember just on the ground crying and crying and balling up and just confessing to God how much pain I'm in. And I kid you not, he sent me the Holy Spirit. I was sitting in there in my house, crying my eyes out, and my curtains moved like wave, and I began to speak in tongues to the point where I couldn't even control my mouth. So as I'm walking through my house and I'm speaking in tongues, I didn't know what it was. I mean, I knew what it was, but I didn't know what it was. So I'm speaking in tongues. So I'm walking throughout my whole house, and I'm sitting on the couch, and I remember looking to see my phone ring, and I can't answer it because I'm still speaking in tongues. And it seemed like it lasted for hours. And finally I got off. It stopped. And I called my mom and I said, Mom, I was speaking in tongues. And she said, you just received the Holy Spirit. And now here's the journey where the journey actually began. Every time that I would be with one of those women, or I would do those drugs, or I would do anything, I would feel bad afterwards. And it just kept coming. And I prayed, why am I feeling so bad? I got the Holy Spirit. And I heard his voice loud and clear. He said, you got to stop doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
You got to stop sleeping with these women. You got to stop doing all these things. You got to stop doing this. So I didn't know how, because I'm conditioned to doing this. I got homeboys. I got friends. I got, you know, how you just go from don't come over, don't do this. But it was making me feel worse and worse and worse and worse. Like I wouldn't see him for a whole week. I feel better. And then she called me like, hey, I got this, and, you know, can I come over? And I'm like, you haven't seen me in a week. And I'm and all right, come on over. And then I'm like, man, she shouldn't even come over. I should call her back. Don't tell her to come over. By then, she's at the door, and she is some sexy. And now this is the routine that the enemy has trapped me in over and over and over. And it's stealing my joy, because when they're not there, I'm joyful. But when they're there, I'm getting depressed, I'm getting sad, I'm anxious, I'm worried. All of these things are coming in. So once he spoke to me and said, you got to stop doing these things, you know, like you got to make an effort, I began to stop, you know. And by now I'm living in Minnesota, you know, and I got a good job, you know. I'm living with this woman, and we're not married, and we're having sex together, and you know, to where it's even after those ordeals, I would feel bad to the point where I begin to sleep on the couch. Me sleeping on the couch caused problems for her. Why are you sleeping on the couch? You know, so I had to get my own place. I got my own place, and once I got my own place, that went away. But here's what sets in: the loneliness. You know, I'm lonely. So here's what Phillp did. I know about forgiveness. I know about righteousness. I want to make this right. The word says reconcile with your wife. I had married her. So I called my wife, and we talk, and I tell her how much I miss her and I want to love her. And she moves back to Minnesota with me. She sells everything in Texas,
Right.
moves back to Minnesota, and we try to work it out. You know, I mean, it was, again, another mask that I put on, because now,
Oh, this is another man.
yeah, this is another mask. I'm trying to be the Cliff Huxtable. You stay at home. You know, mind you, she was already a stay-at-home wife when we first were married, but now I don't need you to strip. I don't need you to be a call girl. I need for you to be this. I need you to be my Claire. You know, I need for you to go to school. I need for you to get all these things together. I need for you to go to school, do something. You know,
Right.
let's be productive. We don't have
Right.
to live that life. We're not going to the clubs anymore. We're not. You know, we're not going to be any of that. We're not having threesomes anymore. None of that. We're going to be regular.
Yeah.
You know,
Dedicated to each other.
Yeah, this is it. She was cool with it. Moved up there. I got my own place, and we living in mask. It's amazing how living in the mask truly distorts what's really going on.
Right.
Because while we're living this way, I'm going to work, but I'm still having these ideas and these urges to go and do other stuff, to cheat. So now it's a battle to not cheat, and I'm turning down beautiful. It's like they were coming out of the woodworks, you know, because I got a nice car, and they were, again, I can't do it. I can't do it. And one day, after pretending and wearing this mask for so long, I look at her and I say, I can't do this. I'm not feeling this. And she said, me neither. I said, what you gonna do? She said, I'm gonna move to my mom's house. I said, yeah, I think that's best. And she moved to her mom's house. And it went again. Now I'm back to the women, the pain, the hurt, the tears, you know. Yeah. The whole time, God didn't tell me to get back with her.
Right.
I just did that because I thought it was the right thing to do.
You thought it was the right thing.
You know, I thought this was right. I thought I should give her a second chance, or she should give me a second chance.
You lean to your own understanding.
I'm thinking that this is it.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be profitable.
Right.
And it wasn't.
Right.
It was, actually, because it was part of my cleansing.
It was part of the. Right.
It was part of my
Yeah.
cleansing. So she moves away. And I'm working, but I'm lonely, that emptiness. And now it's like these ghosts from the whole life, the foster parents, the growing up in Memphis, the not having a dad here, and all these ghosts and the narratives that they begin to like seep through these cracks, these walls that I had built up to protect me. And so now I'm in this house again by myself, trying to avoid everything that I had initially avoided. Mind you, I got the Holy Spirit. So the discernment is clear. It's there. The conviction is there. So, but I'm trying to block them out, and they're coming in, and it's creeping, and it's coming in to the point where I couldn't hold up the mask no longer. Here it is.
Yeah.
And it was just, everything came crashing down. And I was like, that's it. I'm going to be celibate. I ain't never been with another woman. I'm probably going to smoke weed the rest of my life, because that's the only thing that's keeping me from, crashing out or dealing with all these psycho things that I'm dealing with. I ain't got nobody to talk to. I already know if I call my mom what she wants. I ain't got no relationship with my brothers and sisters at all. I got a couple of homeboys, but they cheat. They do this. They doing everything that I'm trying to not. Because my mind is to be Cliff Huxtable. So it's against everything. So I'm by myself. And I got the Holy Spirit. I don't know what to do. I have no idea what to do. I'm in this house, and everything has crashed. And I had made it. That was it. This is the hermit I got to live. This is the way I got to be. This is what I deserve. That's it, because I can't deal with all this trauma. I don't know how to deal with it. I don't know how I can't talk to nobody. I got a college degree, but that don't mean nothing. I mean,
You got to deal with all this trauma.
Yeah.
You're a spirit being, but you got all of this stuff, this trauma that you brought with you, that's dominating your mind, dominating that space in your soul, to where you got to deal with that.
Yeah.
If you don't deal with that, nothing is going to change.
Joe, how you deal with it?
Well, it's a lot of different ways that you deal with it, but I want to know how you dealt with it. How did you get to that point?
I did the way
and I'll answer that question in a minute, but go ahead.
The way I dealt with it was I just submitted. If that meant being by myself, then so be it. I've been by myself. I'm not about to go out here and manipulate no woman again just to have her be with me. I'm not doing any of that. It's over. I ain't riding with these homeboys. Matter of fact, I'll never forget the day that I met my new wife, and it's amazing. The day I met my new wife was the night that I told my homeboys, that's it, y'all will never see me again. I ain't smoking no more weed. I ain't drinking. We were on a boat ride. And the boat ride normally lasts 4 hours. But it's 2 hours, like they'll go 2 hours, stop, and then go 2 more hours. This boat ride was the whole 4 hours. In my mind, if this boat stopped, I'm getting off. I'm catching the cab to my car. I'm gone. I don't know how y'all getting home. It's over with. Peace. It's for real this time. They're like, oh, man, you tripping. It's some women over there. They like, man, let's holler at them. You know, I was always a winner, so it was nothing for me to get these women. No, I'm done with it. I promise you I'm done with it. That boat didn't stop. I'm on this boat, mad, hot, angry at them because I'm mad at myself. So I'm over there smoking weed, you know what I'm saying? I done took a few shots, but ain't none of this stuff working. The weed was no longer getting me high and the drink was no longer getting me drunk. I'm clear, it's sober that this is the end. That boat finally stopped. I got in my car. I said, man, this is it. I don't know where y'all going. I'm going home. They like, but no, come on, this your last night. Let's go to this bar. Let's go to this bar with these women. I'm like, all right, I'm just letting you know, I'm going to do this, but this is it. So we go to the bar. They bring the women there. They all getting drunk or whatever, laughing. Like, why you ain't, man, I told you, I'm serious. I'm over by myself. And this is the night I met my wife. I hear this voice. It says, there she go. And she walked in, right? And she had been around, you know, like, dancing, but no man was dancing with her. She wasn't none of that. And when it was over, it was midnight because I said I was leaving at midnight. I left, couldn't find her. I'm outside. Where's this woman? So I fired my little piece of blunt, smoking. That's it. I'm about to leave. I ain't even going to tell them bye. I'm out of here. They'll figure out they grown. I leave. I go to my car. She's sitting right there in front of my car. I sit down next to her. And I say, will you marry me? And she looks to me and said, yes. I gave her a kiss on the cheek. She put her number in my phone. We went out and had lunch. 3 days later, she moved in.
Wow. Yeah.
And that was it. I had no idea who she was. I didn't know her name till the next day. I had no idea, nothing about her. All I knew was that to build things from this point on faith, and to be obedient. And I had to grow up like a little baby. Right. And I was terrified of it. But he said, do it on faith. If you believe. I got the Holy Spirit. He said he gonna protect me. He didn't protect me from this far. I didn't try to kill myself. I was killing myself. He done done all these great things in my life. He done saved me from so many situations. I mean, so I had just decided, let me be obedient and do it this way.
You're right. And that's the answer to the question that you asked me a few minutes ago, being obedient. You have to be obedient. Once you received the Holy Spirit, you were going through a transformation then. But that part of you, that fleshly part of you was still fighting against that because that's not what that flesh wanted. Didn't want to be obedient. But that's got to be a conscious choice that you make. You have to choose to want to be obedient. You had asked the Most High to come into your life. When you were in jail, you asked the Most High to cleanse your house, right? That's what you asked him to do. And he did that, right? But you didn't respect that because you wasn't aware. You wasn't self-aware of what was really going on. But once you became self-aware, you did what he told you to do. Never knew your wife before that day. You sat there on the on the hood of the car. Never seen her before that night. But you were obedient. Something inside of you said, ask her to what? Marry you. You did that. She responded in the affirmative. There it is. You end up getting married. You got to submit and be obedient. You feel what I'm saying? That is the answer. Now, it's a whole lot of other things that's going on with that, and I'll get to that in another episode or whatnot. But look here, I want to thank you for doing this. This took a lot of courage, in my opinion, to do this, because not everybody is at this place where they can do that. You know what I'm saying? Mentally. And I really appreciate you and thank you for doing that.
Oh,
right?
man, the pleasure's all mine just to be able and to release. It's all about
absolutely.
releasing.
Come on, man.
know?
Let's relax. You know what I'm saying? But again, all of y'all out there that's listening, I really appreciate y'all. If you like this show and any other show, hit that subscribe button and share it on your social media. I really, really do love each and every one of y'all. You have no idea. If I could take every one of you out there that support me and put my arms around you and tell you how much I love you, I would do that. So I thank you again. Like I always say, this has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.